it's Nikki's Tuesday. Sorry it's been a while, I've been a bit tied up in various Yu-Gi related things, such as preparing for YCS London. Just to give a bit of a quick shout out to my friend Josh, looking forward to seeing him next weekend at YCS London. And today I'll be doing a deck profile for Gustos, more specifically Psychic Gustos. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so to start off, we're starting with the monsters. We've got 3 Winder Priestess of Gusto, the level 2 recruiter for the deck. And we have 2 Eagle, the level 1 tuner from the recruiter from the deck. Use it to fetch obviously the window and the calms. Then we have 3 Eagle, the level 3 tuner recruiter of the deck, which you'd use to fetch window. I personally prefer Goldo. He is a bit more useful in the fact that he can be destroyed by battle and card effect, unlike Winder and Eagle. Next we have 2 Kamui, who is another recruiter, but it's the one with the flip effect. So you can also use it during your own turn if it's not destroyed for some reason. So there's the main recruiters of the deck, the main Gusto recruiters in Pacific. You'll notice all the people are also psychics, which is important a bit later on. Next we have the recyclers. First off with 2 Calm Serenity of Gusto. She's the level 4 Pot of Avarice in shorts, as my partner refers to her as. Then we've got 2 Esper, not really a recycler as such, but she is a level 2 psychic tuner, which is more important when we get into the spells and also the extra deck. Next we have 2 Crane, who allows you to revive from the graveyard and then also exceed. And Synchro if you feel like it, which this deck does well. Next we have Junk Synchron. I think it's fairly explanatory why Junk Synchron is in the deck. Unfortunately we haven't got a second Ultra, but time will come. Now we're moving on to the spells of the deck. The main importance is the spells and the trap cards. First off we have 3 Miracle Synchro Fusions. It's more explanatory why this card's in here when we get to the extra deck, but it's also a great MST bait because when it's destroyed by a card effect you get to draw a card from your deck, so there's a bit of draw power in there. Next it's 3 E-Teleports. Both Calm and Esper are targets for E-Teleport, so if you have a tuner or a non-tuner on the field you can get Window or Esper and then Synchro off and do the silly Gusto combos that this deck is capable of. Next up, 3 MSTs. I know it's almost fashionable now for decks nowadays to run very few MSTs or only 1 or 2 and just side them due to the popularity of those wretched E-Dragons. Hope they go soon. Next is just Dark Hole. Fairly standard. This deck can recover from mass destruction, and also there's the possibility if you've got face down Goldo you can get more combos off that way. Next is the trap lineup. 3 Call of the Haunted to be able to recycle from the graveyard, as a lot of your stuff does end up in the graveyard. Then we have 3 Fiendish Chains to stop those pesky sacks and big eyes. It's just a useful card as we don't quite have enough effect veilers to go around. It's only my very, very beautiful Blue Eyes deck that has effect veilers, and they are borrowed. But one day I'll afford effect veilers. Next is Double Mirror Force. Again, this deck, it helps if your opponent isn't doing massive life point damage to you, as every deck it helps. Next is the TT. Like I said before, the Dark Hole. This deck can recover from mass destruction of the field, and in the extra deck it also becomes apparent how it can recover from that with the Miracle Synchro Fusions. Next, Bottomless Trap Hole. Fairly explanatory. I won't linger on too much about that one. One Compulse. Again, I won't linger on about that. That's just a staple. Psychic Overload. Its pot of avarice effect is very useful for the deck. It goes through the synchros. It heads very, very quickly, and so having Psychic Overload in there allows them to just recover a bit in the extra deck, as Calm can't quite do that. So that's all the main deck covered. Next is the extra deck. Start off with the only Exceed in the deck, which is Leviair the Sea Dragon. Due to the banishing nature of Psychics, this comes in very handy for getting some of that banished stuff back onto the field, where it can be used again, and you can make this with the Crane Crane. Next we've got the smallest Synchro monster, which is Misbird Corsolus. It's a very useful effect, and the deck can go into it incredibly easily with an Eagle and a Winder. Next is Armory Arm. Armory Arm is just any deck that can make Armory Arm should make it. This deck can make Armory Arm, and it does. Next we've got level 5s. So we've got Ally of Justice Catasta. For them non-darks, such as the Blue Eyes or the E-Dragons. Then we've got Armades, because Armades is just OP. Stops Battle Faders for Scarecrows, Mirror Force. It just freezes your opponent for 2-3 worth of damage. Then we've got Magical Android. The deck does have a lot of Psychics. It's just a little bit of recovery, and also there's a Psychic Synchro, which is very important later on into the extra deck. And this deck spews out level 5s like no tomorrow. Next we have Daigusto Sprees. Only one Daigusto Spree, which is actually relatively difficult for Gustos to make Sprees, surprisingly. You can do the Sprees OTK with this deck. It's just there are better things they can make, and also easier for them to make. Next is HCS Behemoth. It's a very good deck card for the deck to run. It offers them a lot of protection, and it's very, very versatile as a level 6. Black Rose, because it's Black Rose and it's an ultimate rare. So, always run Black Rose where you can. It's a bit of a staple synchro. Then we have Psychic Life Transfer. Again, her effect's very useful, and she is another Psychic Synchro monster, and this deck can go into her very, very quickly. But again, the Psychic bit and the Synchro bit is much more important later on. Next we have our level 8, so we have Stardust Dragon and Scrap Dragon. If you can make Stardust and Scrap Dragon, you should always make Stardust and Scrap Dragon. They're both very useful at different times. Stardust, if your opponent's doing a lot of mass destruction, Scrap Dragon if you're just scared of a bit of back row. And also this deck can have a lot of Dead Call of the Haunters to pop, and something a bit bigger that just doesn't go away. Next we have Hyper Psychic Blaster, the level 9 Psychic Synchro monster. The stats same as Blue Eyes, with the reverse piercing. When this deck can make it, it wins, is the simple answer. If you can make Hyper Psychic Blaster, make Hyper Psychic Blaster. And next is the big surprise, 2 Ultimate Axon Kickers. It's the reason why the Psychic bit is quite so important for the deck. This is the deck's main kind of beat stick. Because it can't be destroyed by a card effect, it's essentially continuous Scrap Dragon material. And it's just a very, very good card. I have personally lost to this card, and I've won with this card. It's very nice, this card. Again, with the life gain effect, the same as Hyper Psychic Blaster. Put an Armory Arm on this and GG no re, really. So that is the extra deck done. Now I'll shuffle up the main deck and I'll give you a small taste of the hands it does produce. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is not a first turn synchro, but certainly a synchro of some form. Obviously you'd set the 2 Backrow and the Kamui. If the Kamui gets destroyed, then you get the Eagle. Not Eagle, Goldo. You always get Goldo. I keep being told you always get Goldo. If it doesn't, then you flip summon it in your own turn and get the Goldo, and then go off into a level 5, such as Armades or Catasta. They're generally the first ones you go for because they are just so versatile. Anyway, YouTubers, thanks for watching. Like I said, I will be doing some more stuff after YCS London. Hopefully I'll also have a nice custom playmat to deck profile on. Please comment, tell me what you think, like, subscribe, tell your friends. See ya. Bye for now.